directly from Munich, Germany, we have Sebastian Risse here with us. Sebastian's goal is to drive transformational change in financial service organizations, and he is here today to talk about how he and his team of operational excellence experts are pushing SwissRe's back office towards a more client-centric approach. With more than 20 years of cross-industry experiences, Sebastian will demonstrate to us a case study on claims transformation to highlight the impact SwissRe can have on its customers. So very thankful for you to be here with us, Sebastian, and very much looking forward to your presentation.
All right, thank you so much, Jose. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. And I'll start sharing my screen here. And I really appreciate that opportunity. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right thing. And here's our presentation. All right, welcome everybody. I would like to talk about SwissRe. SwissRe is a very old organization. It's about 150 years old, and it's quite traditional. Our background here allows us to be more heavyweight, more back office oriented. We have excellent buildings across the world. Our headquarters in Zurich is full of tapestry and excellent carpets, and it just feels very lush. At the same time, I'm here in my home office, just like most of you are based at home right now. And SwissRe actually allowed me to work from home extremely easily. Even with all these nice buildings, SwissRe has set up a great environment for their employees to be able to work from wherever they want in the world. It shows how flexible we are, even though we're quite an old-fashioned organization. And we have actually gone through a lot of transformations in the past, have reinvented ourselves quite a bit throughout these 150 plus years. And one of the things that I want to talk to you about today is how do we become a more client-centric organization? So I'll take you on a little journey here to give you a little bit of context of where this is coming from. And a lot of people don't know SwissRe. SwissRe is one of the leading reinsurers in the world. So we insure the insurance companies, right? So very far back removed from individuals and peoples and their needs. Within the reinsurance business, we're split up across property and casualty and life and health. So there are two sides. One is the non-life insurance and reinsurance and the life reinsurance. What I want to cover today is the P&C business. So we're here talking about large scale things that happen around the world, be it earthquakes, be it hurricanes, plane crashes, large amounts of car accidents. Anything that can happen in the world that's large is something that we insure. And that kind of defines our mission. We want to make the world more resilient. And we're doing this by managing risk, right? That means that we need to know what happens in the world, what problems happen in the world, understanding them, and then be able to manage these risks better. And we're doing this for our clients. So our clients are the insurance companies around the world. These are large insurance companies, the AXAs, the Allianz of the world, but also the mom and pop shop around the corner that is handling car insurances just for very local markets. And this is where we want to be more client-centric. We want to provide these clients, our clients, more value add. We want to focus more on them, because we know that we can only succeed if they succeed. So how do we do this? Well, to be fair, SwissRe has always been extremely client-centric, meaning we have client markets teams, we have underwriters, we have people in a lot of different locations around the world that work day to day with our clients. But when we look at the more back office function, the teams that handle claims, book accounts, update reserves, reseed insurance risks around the globe, those are teams that we call the P&C business management team, which I am part of. It's a relatively large organization. We're about 1,000 employees. And within that organization, because we are traditionally quite back office oriented, the client focus was never a big topic until about 5 years ago. And then we started to say, well, what are the things that we as business management can do better to be more client-centric? And the outcome here are these 4 items you see on the right. The first one is this improving our core services to our clients, meaning when we're paying a claim, when we are booking premium, when we have feedback loops to the client, we want to be efficient and effective, and we want to make sure that our clients understand that and that they get this feedback. But that's not enough. We believe that that's just our core. What can we do on top of this? And this leads to this forethought ability. Forethought here means that with all the knowledge we have in our organization, all these expert claim handlers and accountants and risk managers, why can't we use the knowledge that they have for the greater good of our clients and provide these insights and expertise to our clients directly? And then third, how can we deliver new solutions? This goes into direct insurance solutions, ensuring new opportunities, but also what we call large-scale transactions. So very large changes for our clients and making sure that they are succeeding in their business. And all these things are requiring a real commercial culture mindset. So do we have these 1,000 employees? Can we make sure that they have the right attention on these topics and making sure that we can bring this value add to our clients? Now, that said, I want to take you on that journey, right? How do we make this happen? How can we be very specific of traditionally or changing this traditional organization to be more in this client-centric arena? But before I do this, I wanted to ask Jose to share a poll with you, getting a little bit of feedback from you. So Jose, if you could share the first poll and ask everybody to vote on one of those 5 options and to see where are you in your transformational journey.
Very well, ladies and gentlemen. So the poll has been launched and the options are, where are you on your transformation journey? The first one is that we are where we want and need to be. See writing on the wall, change needed, not sure what and how. We know what has to improve and are on that journey. We are implementing changes and ready to collect the benefits. And we're considering a complete overhaul of what we stand for. So please go ahead and cast your votes in where are you on your transformation journey on your organization. So cast your votes, and I'm going to give you a little bit of time here to go in, cast your vote, and pick one of these, the 5 options here.
And thanks
so
for
a few more seconds. About more than half of you have already voted. So the other half waiting for you to participate. We're at 75%. Well done, good job. I'm gonna be closing in the next 10 seconds, so go ahead and cast your vote. Well done, wow. Over 90% of you have voted, so I'm gonna close the poll right now and I will share the results. So sharing the results, and here's what we have. 65% say that we know what has to improve and are on that journey. That's the largest portion of the answers, that's 65%. And then next at 12%, we see the writing on the wall, changes needed, not sure what and how. 12% says we are implementing changes and ready to collect the benefits as well. So there's a split there, 12% each on those other 2, and 6% on the other options of we are where we want to be, and we are considering a complete overhaul of what we stand for. So the middle option got 65% of the vote, and it's almost like a perfect distribution around that, with 12% and 6% on the tails. I'm going to hide that. Back to your presentation.
Thank you, Jose. And we didn't come up with this, right? We didn't come up with the answers before, but this is quite standard, right? A lot of changes are happening right now. And to be fair, with things like COVID-19, more changes will be out there, right? Companies have to reinvent themselves again and again because the environment changes. I would say that what I want to cover now with you on our changing to be more client-centric, we would be right now at that C to D level. So we are in the middle of the journey, but we also are seeing now how these changes implemented are taking effect and what benefits we get out of it. And I want to share that with you today. Oh, excuse me. So I want to take you on that journey of that transformation. And a key thing that we're doing in this transformation is that we're moving from a yesterday task management oriented view into the future. And this yesterday is heavily based on this individual processing work, right? You can see this picture here of people handling corn. I don't compare that one-to-one with SwissRe, but we have similar processes, or we had similar processes, where we're receiving individual information from our clients and shareholders, and we then process it one by one. And we check and recheck everything. We want to be accurate and very good at what we're doing. And because of that, we actually spread the ownership across a lot of different areas, which means nobody really feels accountable. It also instills a lot of mistrust within the organization, where the one hand is not sure what the other hand is doing, but also a level of mistrust against our clients. So can we trust what the client is presenting to us, and can we move forward with it? Which all results into our focus so far on this protecting the bottom line, right? Making sure that we're profitable and that we don't pay anything we shouldn't be paying. And a lot of these things don't go away, right? But when we look at our tomorrow, we're focusing on what we call portfolio steering. It's more a holistic view into what we're doing at SwissRe, and identifying the different patterns and groupings of work that we can bring under one umbrella, and then performing an analysis at that holistic level to gain insights. So really understanding of what are we actually doing as SwissRe as a whole, what are the things that we're producing, and how do we make sure that we can take that knowledge that's within the team and these insights that we're gaining from it and bringing them back to our clients as value add. So at the end, it's a shift, right? It's a shift from this individual task handling, and over time, and I'll talk about that in a second, this takes a while, we want to transform into this portfolio steering and generating client insights world. And to us, that's a transformation. By transformation, we don't mean just change management. Change management means you can go back to the old ways of working at any point. But what we want to do here is change from the past to something new, and we don't intend to go back. And that's the indicator of our butterfly here, right? We want to remain a butterfly. We don't want to go back to being caterpillars. So let's take a concrete example. Something that we're actually doing, and we have done now in SwissRe, is around what we call claims transformation. I'm using that example because it's quite easily explainable. A lot of people know what claim handling is all about. I'll go into that just a second. And it really shows how we can change from yesterday. In fact, yesterday, our claim handling process has been the same process for pretty much 150 years. Now, we have digitized it, we have automated, we have moved away from the paper-based process into workflow tools, and you see your task lists online. We have cockpits and dashboards. We have a really good understanding of how our process is performing, but it's still the paper-based process that we did 150 years ago. And in fact, it's heavily reactive to the client, meaning the client is sending us information. It's sending us individual claim notifications, claim updates, and based on that, we then process it, similar to that picture on the right, and go through it one by one. It's a sequential working style, meaning if we double the amount of claims we have to handle, we have to double the number of people that actually work on it. And the knowledge that our employees bring to the table is just at that individual claim level. So there is no consolidation yet. I'm looking at one document that I receive from the client. I interpret it, I understand it, and I make a decision. And if you look at that picture below, it's showing that how badly or how much our work on the claim side is skewed. The top 10 claims make up for more than 50% of the reserves, so the risk behind it. And you can see the largest amount, about 50,000 claims, have a value of less than $1. Yet we still process everything one by one. To take a very concrete example, if we look at a hurricane or a tornado or a large-scale disruption, you will see patterns in those. The claims that come in have a pattern behind it. Yet, traditionally, we would take every single claim that comes in from this hurricane event and process it one by one. And we felt like there's quite an opportunity here to improve this. So we came up with our claims transformation, and we started to say, how do we make this change actually happen? And in order to address this, we worked with senior management first on the so-called design principles. We wanted to get an input from the senior management to tell us their expectations and the things that allow us to wiggle, right? To make changes to the traditional way and how much flexibility we have. And you can see here, there's some key elements in there that are changing from the past, trusting the client's ability to deliver us the claims presentations as an example, and then working with it. Also, given the fact that we're a global organization, we want to make sure we have a global process, but we also know that we have very regional requirements to execute. These are regulatory requirements, but also client requirements, right? Making sure that we're adhering to very specific, for example, high growth market needs, and also connecting it to our employees. Do we have the right skills globally? Not at the same level. There are people that are better in certain markets than in others. We also want to eliminate inconsistencies. This means that the same person doing the same job on 2 different days should come with the same outcome. And traditionally, that's not the case. Number 4 is important from a pure processing perspective, eliminating stoppage points. Whenever we stop something, it means we're increasing turnaround time. We usually don't make our clients happy when we're asking a lot of questions that don't make much sense. And we're slowing down the overall process, and we pay slower. Number 5 is around an outcome-based analysis model. We want to look at things holistically, as I have said before, and we want to make sure that whatever we touch and analyze, we actually see a value in it. So we got these principles. That was extremely good input. Then we did some more data analysis, and I don't want to go into too much detail. This is project management or Lean Sigma 101. But we looked at our organizational structure, we looked at different teams, how they work together, we looked at our data, and we have mass data, right? We can see where do we put effort, where's the risk, where's the outcome. We also looked at our processes, so we said, how do we work today, where are the handovers between different team members and between different teams, and where are the root causes of problems, right? Where do things get stuck, and what does that mean? And then we worked together as a team, and we defined our so-called claim handling pyramid. It's the pyramid you see at the bottom. And what we're doing here is we move away from a very task-based level. You see this PID level at the bottom. These are the individual receives that we get from our clients, and we want to move up that pyramid. We want to more focus on the overall claim and how claims develop over time. We want to look at deals. We want to look at the contracts that we have with our clients and how they perform. And we look at our clients holistically, and we want to understand how do our clients tick? What are the things that they need? How do they deliver? What kind of execution model do they have? And while we're moving up that ladder, we now have a better understanding from the top down. So we can more clearly define what are the different activities and rules that we need to have in order to execute the individual PID level, right? The individual claim updates. With that, we defined 2 different teams. The claim management on the left is the claim manager, the person that really understands claims, traditionally has done most of this work, and they now say, in this new world, what does my claim portfolio look like? So all the claims that I'm responsible for, where are the claims where I can change the outcome of the claim, meaning where do I actually add value when I'm doing this work? And secondly, the contract fulfillment team is now delivering on the promise. They make sure that we're paying the claims timely and accurately, and also based on the client's needs. And at the end, they then perform checks and generate insights based on their knowledge, and they ensure the protection of the bottom line. So we still need to make sure we stay profitable. We still want to run a right business, and we want to pay claims when it makes sense and not pay the claims that we shouldn't pay. So based on that, we come up with a solution, and the solution heavily is based on this claim portfolio monitoring. The idea is here to say, rather than working in the world of email and inboxes and looking at one by one, we want to look at our full portfolio. And the first point here is important: ability to see all claims and their impact. So while in the past, everything that came in, we processed one by one, it's easy to miss things because there's so much coming in. Now in this portfolio level, we will spot trends. We will see individual claims that are moving away from these trends, these outliers. And we can now say, what are the things that we need to concentrate on, and drill down into the details to say, how do we handle these exceptions? And this is what we're already good at, right? We know how to handle exceptions. We know how to handle these claims that are not going well. We can read all the documents. We have plenty of lawyers. We have experts for every field. And here we continue to shine. But that's not the first step. It's really the last step in this portfolio steering. So what does that look like for a claim manager, right? The claim manager of the future looks different than the ones in the past. So here's my claim manager in the morning, rise and shine, a new day awaits. He or she logs into the computer, and the first thing they will see is what we call BM Advisor, Business Management Advisor. It's a new tool that we have developed, and what it allows the claim manager to do is see that full portfolio. So they can drill into things like different lines of business, right? Can I compare my fire claims with motor claims with hurricane claims? I can also then see these outliers, right? Are all these claims behaving the same way, or are there claims that behave differently? And based on that, it's flagged for me, and I can take action. We are also incorporating more advanced technology in this whole thing that now goes into understanding and actually reading the incoming documents that we receive from the client to look for certain patterns in these documents and keywords. It goes beyond full text search. It's looking mainly for these patterns. And based on that, the claim manager can now say, what are the key challenges that I need to focus on? So identifying the claims and updates that I receive from the client that need my attention. So if I log in the morning, I can see what happened yesterday, and I can see based on that what has actually changed. Or even if I was gone for 2 weeks, I can see what has happened since then. Based on that, the claim manager can manage expectations. So he or she can now say, how do my claim portfolios develop? And now I'm looking at these individual claims, and I can say, how do I believe this claim will develop in the future, right? This is interesting for these long-term claims that take longer periods of time. And we can see this development. And because they're usually large-scale claims, right? Let's take that hurricane example again. It will take quite a while till all these claims get paid, and we can now set our expectations. We have tools in there where you can, for example, pre-approve a claim, or you can say, how often do I want this claim to be brought up into my to-do list and into my BM Advisor tool so I can review it. And that leads to fixing problems, right? Again, this is the traditional bread and butter of a claim manager. He or she will be able to drill down into these individual claims, read all the documents we received, and use their knowledge to really make a difference. And what we there do is we're starting to engage more with our clients, right? If we see opportunities that claims are unjustified, or that we have cut our portfolios not right, then we're providing that as feedback to our clients, and our clients then can use that to steer their portfolios better. In addition to that, we're generating insights. And this is now the client-centric piece, right? This was so far the core, right? The traditional piece. Whereas this generating insights now allows us to use BM Advisor to really understand how does not just the individual claim perform, but how do I spot trends and developments over larger scales, right? In my hurricane example, I can now see how all these claims develop over a period of time, comparing it with past hurricane or other large events, and I can say, what is the progression from there? I can look forward and say, what is my expectation for the future? And again, this is where we shine with our clients. We want to bring this information to our clients so they can get better at it too. So when they start going into renewal, right, they set new policies, they work with their customers, they can be much more accurate to predict the risks that are coming in, and based on that, making better decisions for themselves. But we don't stop there. We want to get into this forethought, right? Now we're going a step further and we're saying, based on these insights, based on the trends and developments, we can see, for example, new patterns evolve. A traditional example would be here, is since we're doing a lot of car insurance at a large scale level, we are able to see what has an influence on car accidents, right? And I'm sure you've heard them by now. We did this quite a while back, how mobile phones are impacting accident rates. And based on that, we can be in the forefront. We know this ahead of time, and we can work with our clients to actually give that information to them so they can, again, set better policies and even develop new solutions. So solutions that cover, for example, new flood risks and things like that, but it can be in any other business area. So these new solutions development is an area where we want to strive, and from a pure client-centric approach, that is the bread and butter of tomorrow. If you look at the claim handler of the past, they spend 90% of the time on this traditional individual claim handling. We see this by now, it has gone down to about 40% of their efforts. So they spend 60% of their time on this generating insights, providing forethoughts, working on transactions and solutions, and really focusing on what is the value the client brings to the table here. So based on that, I want to cover a little bit the challenges that we have with this setup, right? Obviously, we're not perfect and we have our own issues here and there. So I want to ask Jose one more time to bring you back to the poll and get a little bit more insight from you. What is your top challenge you're facing during your transformation journey? So since you're a lot of times still in early stages, it would be interesting to get your feedback on what that is. And I just learned that we don't have all 7 options, so I'll put that away. Jose, would you be able to read the options to the audience?
Will do, Sebastian. And we have, what is the top challenge you're facing during your transformation journey? So you have 5 options to choose for. Please go ahead and cast your vote. The first option is how to get started, having the right focus. Number 2, how to define a better tomorrow. 3, project management challenges. 4, change management challenges. And 5, making changes stick, making it a true transformation. So please choose your options, and I'll give you some time to cast your vote. And the votes are coming in, so very good. So keep choose one out of these 5 options. What is the top challenge you're facing during your own transformation journey? More than half of you have already voted. Well done. 5 more seconds here to get to about 90%. Last chance to cast your vote. So what is the top challenge you're facing in your own transformation journey? All right, great. We got to the most of you. I'm gonna close the poll now. I'm gonna share the results and read those results for you. And what we have here is the #1 challenge with 47% of the votes is actually making changes stick. As we all know, we're now 95% done. You're halfway there. And it seems like everybody's feeling that. Making those changes stick is the hardest thing for 47% of the responses. Second one was change management challenges with 27%. And third place, we have how to define a better tomorrow. So creating the vision at 20%. And finally, project management challenges at 7%. And nobody, 0%, had issues with how to get started, having the right focus. So again, in order, 47% making changes stick, 27% change management challenges, 20% how to define a better tomorrow, and 7% project management challenges.
Very good. Well, thanks for running this. And again, I would say that this is not the biggest surprise, right? I would say, and let me make sure I share my screen again correctly. We see the same thing, right? Change management and making sure that these changes are then lasting and stick over a period of time, especially when challenges arise, is a standard thing that we're facing too. So I can talk a little bit more about this when we're going into where are we from a SwissRe perspective. I listed 3 here, and I think the first one ties pretty closely to the change management topic that you mentioned. How do we bring claim managers that traditionally work on individual tasks, on individual claims, to this 30,000-foot view and getting an understanding from the top down and making decisions based on that? Right? That requires letting go. It requires a complete refocus of what I do on a daily basis. And in fact, it is a key challenge from a skill perspective, right? A traditional claim handlers is not as they always tell me, a data analyst, right? They're lawyers. They're used to reading the individual documents and making decisions based on that. Now working with data and graphs and outliers and patterns is something that is new to them mostly. And usually that's not why we hired them. So there's definitely a challenge on that one. The last one is around risks that we see. And this brings it back to the making changes stick, right? If we are now looking at our claims, not at individual level, but first of all at a portfolio level, it means that there's a potential that we miss something, right? That we are not looking at the right claims and that we're making wrong decisions, especially at the beginning. And while we're in the risk mitigation business, right, as I said at the very beginning, it's something that we need to address here because otherwise these changes won't stick. So,
Sebastian, may I ask you to stop sharing your presentation and start again, because at least on my end, the poll screen has not gone away, so I'm not able to see your presentation. I keep hitting the poll. So if you could stop sharing your presentation and start again just to reset the system, I'd appreciate that. Yep, and then go ahead and share it again.
Is this better?
Yeah, I see outcome of claims transformation as SwissRe. Okay, thank you very much.
Good, and I'm glad that I kept the slide simple, right? Because it just has these 3 words on it and nice pictures with it too. So again, these are our key challenges. I think they link very closely to what you just said on your challenges on change management and making the change stick. Now, to go a little bit into how did we address these challenges? And just to stay at a high level, I think one key thing for us was it's not a one-off big bang change. Claims transformation takes time. It takes years to perfect this. And that gives people a way forward and a plan of how they get onto the bandwagon, right? Addressing the skill issue, and that we want to make sure that everybody is able to get there. we also engaged with the teams very, very early. So during the setup and the definition of the new process, we worked with them hand in hand, and we received feedback right from the beginning, and we continue to receive feedback. And based on that, we also try to identify what we call the early adopters, or the champions that allow us to move forward quicker because they are already doing this, right? They're already really good at using existing tools, existing patterns, also have the right portfolios that can work in this matter. And we work with them quite a bit to then say, what does that mean to them, but also what does it mean to their colleagues, and how can we address the challenges that their colleagues are bringing to the table. And then last but not least, especially on the risk side, right, making it stick, we have been working heavily with senior management, and then especially the line managers, right, the people that are managing claim managers, making sure that they are on board as early as possible. Then they understand the change, they understand what it means to them, and that they buy into it. Because the biggest thing that we have seen in the past is when we make change and everybody says, yeah, sure, let's do this, when the problems arise, right? When the problems hit, and in our case, when we pay a claim we shouldn't have paid, this is when things fall apart if we don't get management support. If an employee goes to their manager and says, I told you so, I shouldn't have done it this way, and the manager said, you're right, let's go back to the old way, the whole thing falls apart. If we then have managers that stand up and say, yep, you're right, this didn't go well, we also anticipated problems like this, but let's move forward, let's learn from these mistakes and make it better. This is how you get buy-in and you pull people along. And again, this doesn't happen from one day to the next. All right, I know I'm pretty much at the end of the time. I do want to say quickly, this claims transformation is a huge benefit for everybody involved and all the people that play along. It's our clients because we're providing an ease of doing business and we're generating insights for them. It's for our shareholders because we still protect the bottom line. It's for SwissRe because we have a more efficient, fast, and easily managed process on claim handling. And especially our employees. Our employees now have an opportunity to have more vast knowledge. They have better CVs, they have better jobs, they have more engaging daily routines. And that's really what it's all about. Our employees are our superheroes, and we want to make sure when they're happy, then our clients are happy, and then SwissRe is happy. I'll close here. Thank you, Jose. I'll bring it back to you.
Fantastic, Sebastian. Thank you so much. I love your energy. I love your clarity and your communication, which on something that's a very meaningful transformation in a critical process for the business. We had, as a response to that, we had a lot of questions that have come in, so I'll share those with you. The very first one is super interesting. Was there someone out there who had global pandemic insurance? Is there such an instrument out there that existed, or there will be one going forward?
Well, I'm not the claims expert, but I can tell you that historically, pandemics are actually excluded from most insurance deals just because it's impossible to manage that risk, right? If a pandemic like COVID-19 spreads, it's impossible to say how big will this problem be and how do we mitigate for it. Now, that said, I also know that large insurers, and including SwissRe, we have stepped up and we have actually started to fulfill beyond the contractual terms and conditions. We actually have paid a lot of insurance claims for COVID-19 on the life and health side and on the business interruption, the P&C side, and we will continue to do this. It's hurting us, but that's what we're known for, and we should be able to do this to make the world more resilient. It won't be perfect, but hopefully we can contribute a little bit to it.
Very good, very good. I have a question from Roger Mellor, and Roger asks, do you believe that you must attain a minimum level of strategic infrastructure and platform capability before you can move to a focus on providing value to clients?
I would say flat out yes. When I think about what business management has done in the last 20 odd years, it was quite a transformation already. And this required a lot of technology, right? It required having the right tools in place that create the visibility that allows us to capture the data. And in fact, then the data side is probably the most important thing, right? Knowing what actually happened, even beyond what SwissRe has as data, right? What our clients have, our competitors have, and creating that full picture is a key ingredient to really transform. And then last but not least, it's a management structure and attention, right? Having senior management that actually wants to do this and knows it has to happen. Without it, it won't happen. If it's the employee that starts these things, they might listen and they might feel like, oh, that sounds interesting. But even with our team in business management, it was our executive team, when they made that conscious decision to go more client-centric, that's when it really made a difference for us.
Very good indeed. Fran Jorigny is asking a question about the process that you shared, and she is interested on measurements. What were the measurements to determine success at the end of this journey?
How much time do we have? So it's a lot.
4 minutes, right? But I know you can summarize well.
We did a very in-depth analysis, and one of the key things we did, and maybe that's the most important thing here, is when we started the transformation, we set very clear guiding lights around the success criteria. How can we measure electronically the success of this project and that transformation? And it goes into things like change management, right? How quickly is the adoption rate? How many people will play along? Those are standard things. But for us, the challenge was around this whole portfolio steering ability and saying, how do we know that a person is doing portfolio steering and is then making an impact? And here we don't want to fall back to the traditional protecting the bottom line, but saying, how do we generate insights that we bring to our clients? And that was the key focus for us. And it goes all the way to creating net promoter scores with our clients, where the client can tell us, do they feel the benefit we're bringing to the table? And that's the starting point for that analysis.
Very good. I know there are many layers to that, but I thought you did a fantastic job summarizing that. Another question from Roger, and the question is, how did you move the time-consuming detailed tasks away from managers so they could focus at a higher level and focus on the key challenges? Because I think implicit on that question is that there may be some resistance here, there may be some concerns about why am I losing these tasks, maybe fear of change. How did you manage all of that?
Yeah, and again, lots of change management things around it. Maybe the one thing that is probably the most inappropriate thing to say on this is if you want a dog to stop chewing on the couch, you have to give them something else to chew on. So one of the key things we did in this transformation is, and our employees are definitely not dogs, they are superheroes. They're the ones that then said, if I have a way out, if it means that I don't lose my job because I stopped doing this, but I actually have an opportunity to do something new and more engaging and more interesting, I'm willing to play along. And I would say that's true for 80–90% of the staff that are willing to do this and are excited about it, but there's also a percentage that is not. And we have to realize you won't get everybody.
Very well. Another question here is a more direct question, is that this claims process with SwissRe, was this done globally? Is this done regionally, locally? What is the scope of the change?
Yeah, it's global, so worldwide for all lines of P&C business, which again accounts for about $9 billion in claims. And when we rolled this out, though, it was at a regional level. Just from an organization perspective, we have 3 regional heads on the claim side, and we wanted to make sure that they play along and that it breaks it down. And then the implementation, there were then some regional differences, right? In Brazil, we work differently than in Canada, than South Korea, and we have to adhere to these standards. So this is where these principles become super important, because they always give you a guiding light to say, how do we deal with it in Brazil, even though in Brazil we need, and you're from Brazil, so you know this, the challenge here is to make sure that we're adhering to those local standards and making sure that we have enough reserves on hand in Brazil. And we made that happen because we have a local team there that can do this.
That's fantastic. I can only imagine that you know, the layers that you have to go through. Just out of curiosity, following up on that, if you have a breakdown of perhaps, you know, the 80% that's common versus perhaps 20% that's customized for different regions. I said 80-20, but what is the actual, how would you split that in your own experience? How much of it is common across the globe and how much of it percent-wise is customized?
Yeah. So from a process and setup perspective, it's 100% global. When it then comes to what we call regional recipes, meaning different ways of working because of regulatory requirements, here we see differences. And there I would say that 80-20 split is not bad, because and in fact, when we defined these recipes, that's where we started. We said, what is standard, what's normal and expected, which is very difficult for people to grasp in a reinsurance world. And to get to this 80% was a challenge. And then it was okay to let the 20% go wild, if you will. But we need to keep monitoring that. That's one of those things that easily, again, spreads out, where everybody will do their own thing, and all of a sudden you have a million recipes, and we don't want that.
That's right. You know, I have to make the commentary, having similar experiences you have on doing these global deployments, usually in the very first meeting, it feels like it's 20% only common and 80% customized. And then as we go along, we realize it's the other way around. But it's difficult because everybody around the world think that they're so unique, right? And then we have to, but when we really get to the core of it, it's you know, typically the 80-20 holds. So Sebastian, we could talk about this for hours. So I'm so grateful for you to connect with us directly from Munich, Germany, to this global audience, and share such great work that you and your team at SwissRe have done. So thank you so much for being with us today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me, Jose. Have a good rest of the day. Bye.
You too. You too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this will conclude this segment of our presentation on SwissRe and their journey of digital transformation. Next, to wrap up the conference and today, we have a fantastic presentation on financing the green economy to minimize the impact of climate change. So this is a financial services perspective on the energy economy, if you will. It's a perfect segue for our next event next week, where we're welcoming global leaders of energy and oil and gas, major organizations, to talk about what they're going through right now in terms of digital transformation, business, and cultural transformation. So this is a fantastic view of a very fast growing segment of the energy business with renewables, and how it's being financed, how we're financing that green economy and the impact that it will have on climate change. So look forward to seeing you at the top of the hour. For now, we'll close this portion of the conference and see you back soon.